Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, what's up? It's rock and roll comedian Don Jamieson, and you are listening to the one and only, the Bodfather. It's the BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's a huge honor and privilege to welcome back Mr. Don Jamieson. Don is formerly from VH1's That Metal Show, and now he has his own show called That Jamieson Show. Don will release his new comedy album, Denim Laughter, Friday, February 21st via Metal Blade Records. This album was recorded in a secret location in Los Angeles on October 19th of 2019. Also catch Don on the Monsters of Rock Cruise, February 8th through the 13th, and you can catch Don on the School of Hard Knocks tour with Saxon's mighty Biff Byford, and it's starting April 17th in Gateshead in UK, ending May 15th, Le Forum in France. So you want to get out and check him. Also check him out on That Jamieson Show as well. And Don, man, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on here.
Yeah, to get back with the Bodfather, of course. And yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed up my next couple months. The record coming out and some tour dates and all that. And you know, obviously I'm playing the comedy clubs as well. So looking forward to this being a good year for comedy and rock.
Last time I had you on here, man, my fire alarm was going off. The interview was that hot. You know what I mean?
Well, I hope, I try to give everybody, tidbits to take home with them. But, it's 2020 is a year, man. I'm optimistic about it. You know, it's the year of the rock reunions, which I'm really excited about. You got Motley coming back together. You got Rage coming back. You got the Crows coming back. So super excited for all those shows coming up.
You mentioned that Saxon is your favorite all-time band. The album cover is of Saxon's album Denim and Leather. What was Biff's reaction when he found out you wanted to do a comedic album version entitled Denim and Laughter? What was his thoughts on this? He
loved it. I've gotten to know him pretty well over the last couple of years, and I've gone down to Philadelphia to see them play and met Biff and Doug for dinner, and we were drinking some red wine, and I just kind of set off the cuff. I said, maybe my next album will be called Denim and Laughter. And he loved it, and he's like, oh, yeah, you should do that. That would be great if you did that. So, here, that was a couple of years ago, and now the album's finally being released, and they let me use all the artwork, and, they did a theme song for me. So it's a whole nice tie-in, with the packaging for my album and the fact that I'm going to go on the road with Biff.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making this new album, Denim and Laughter, if anything, man? What sticks out the most about it for you, Don?
Just, the location for me. We did it in a speakeasy. It wasn't just, I didn't do a comedy club or a theater setting. I did it in literally an illegal club in Los Angeles, that we couldn't even tell the audience where it was until the morning of. We emailed everybody the address, because, comedy's dangerous enough, but it's even more dangerous when, you're about to get raided by the cops, which, part of me was hoping that happened because I think that would have been a good ending to the album, me being dragged in handcuffs, but we got the recording done, and I'm thrilled with the way it came out, man. It's if you like my stuff I've done up till now, I think you'll like this as well.
So how long did it take you to write and prepare for this?
I try to get a new album out every about 2.5 years. So you pretty much work on the material for 2 years. You hone it in the clubs and until it's kind of ready and it's there, and the set kind of has a flow to it. I hope it has a flow to it. But to me, there's a method to the madness. But yeah, it takes a little while, and it's interesting because when a band puts an album out, they want to play all the songs on the album when they go out on tour, or at least some of them. like Comedian does an album, it's the exact opposite. It's like, I never want to do that material again because I've been doing it every night for the last 2 years. So that's where I am now. I put this out and I begin the uphill climb to developing new material for the next album and trying to figure out what band's artwork I'm going to steal.
Any tracks standing out more to you right now, possibly on this new album for you? I know it must change every time you listen to it. I know this is your stand-up stuff, but what is your favorite Joker track on this for you, man?
Well, I think, one of the fun things about doing records now is because we're in this age of streaming and digital, and so people can cherry pick what tracks that they want to download. So I always think, like, I want to make the track names as funny or as interesting as possible so that people will be compelled to download it. So for me, I just look and I see, there's a track called Gorilla Sex, Spitting, and Banana Tits. And now, if I'm a fan of comedy and I see that, I'm downloading that track immediately, So it's just as much fun as writing the material as kind of coming up with the titles for all the names.
Yeah, and you're right. There's some absolutely hilarious ones on here, like Stone Cold, a Sporty Ford Fusion, Rock Out With Your Cock Out, and then you've got Billy Ray, Little League, Prison Time. That's, oh, man.
Yeah, so I noticed royalties actually when they play our stuff, and it breaks down which tracks have been downloaded and how many times. And I always notice the ones with the funnier titles are the ones that are downloaded the most. And even when I did my first album, it's called Live and Hilarious. At the same time, Feet put an album called Hilarious. So a lot of people downloaded my album by accident, thinking it was Louis C.K.'s album. So I always give Louis C.K. a thanks for getting me on the Billboard and the iTunes charts.
Hey, you got to have a break somewhere somehow,
Especially in comedy.
Can you see the growth between each comedy album to the new one, if anything, man? What's your strongest part about the growth, if anything, from each album to album for you?
I think, connecting with my rock audience is important. So, that whole section of the album, we definitely talk a lot about rock music and that kind of stuff. It's a big part of my life. It's like, how do I not talk about it? We talk about everything else in our lives as comedians, our failed relationships, our crazy childhoods. We all have that in common. But the one thing that I have that a lot of people don't is my love for this kind of music. And, so I like to poke fun at it. I like to have fun with the bands that I love the most and talk about them on stage. And, I'm proud of music that I do. So I put that connection to it important.
Writing your material for stand-up, does it challenge or push you, or do you just throw it against the wall and see what sticks, man?
I mean, you kind of learn over the years what will work and what won't. But, look, every audience is different. So if something, you wrote down that day you think is the funniest thing ever, you might lay a giant turd live. So, But, no, I think nowadays, with audiences being a little more sensitive, you have to just try to, you don't want to be the old guy, screaming, "Get off my lawn," and preach to younger people and tell them everything was better in the old days. Just sort of find a new style of doing that without kind of wagging your finger at audiences. No audience wants to be preached to or told what to think or, what they should laugh at or not.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And especially when you go see a band like that, too. It's like, I understand what they believe in, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. But when it becomes like a revival, I want out there, It's like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Rage Against the Machine. Obviously, is a very political band.
Sure.
But when I listen to their music, I'm not taking their message to heart. The music. Now, for the fans who do, that's great. That's an extra bonus. For me, it's just like, I just want to run into a wall when I hear their music. That's.
Oh yeah.
I want to get into a mosh pit. I want to flail my arms around and run around like a maniac.
I'm going to tell you this right now, man. That first show that they do, that is going to be off the fucking chart. I'm going to tell you that right now. I cannot. Well, I wish I was there to see it, but I know YouTube will probably have it. But I mean, my God, that's going to be insane.
Yeah, hoping to get there myself. I'm really psyched that they're back. They're one of those bands. It was a shame that they ever went away, but now that they're back, I just it's a great thing for the scene in general.
We need to appreciate these bands for the time that we have them here, because we don't know if they're going to break up. We don't know what's going to happen from day to day. So I preach this a lot. See these bands when you can. I know things come up, but if you have that opportunity, go do it, because you may be part of something, man, that nobody else is going to be part of 20 years down the road. And you can say, I was fucking there. Yeah,
I just did an interview with a guy who was telling me, his dad hung out backstage with the Stones in like the late '60s, and who knew in 2020 they'd still be going? But imagine you've had that experience where you hung with Keith and Mick in 1968 backstage at a show. I mean, that's a memory you can't buy.
Mm-hmm. How far do you know when to push your routine and know when to hold off, and back off some? When do you get to that point? When do you know?
It's about getting a laugh, that's all. So, I'm always writing material, and I'll try something 2 or 3 times, and if it's not getting a laugh, I'll either try to rewrite it, or I'll just go, it's not worth it. This isn't working, and, I'll put it to the side, and maybe I'll get back to it later. But, when I'm on stage a Friday, Saturday night, man, people have worked all week. They've spent money. They got babysitters. They might not get out of the house that much. They're not coming to a comedy show to be preached at. They want to laugh. So I just try to pack in as many as I can, get you in, get you out, get you feeling good, and, hope everybody leaves happy, man.
Do you have any material, Don, that hasn't seen the light of day that eventually possibly will down the road?
All the stuff I write, I eventually use for something, whether or not it's a radio interview that I do, because some bits don't work like necessarily on stage, but, maybe it's a good story to tell on the radio or something like that. Or, I've written for a bunch of the roasts, on Comedy Central and things like that. And, sometimes I can use material for that. So I continually, recycle it. And like I said, sometimes I just put stuff to the side and I go, I can't figure out a good point of view on this. Maybe I'll get back to this. And a couple of years later, I'll find a scrap of paper and go, ooh, I got a good angle on this now. At the end of the day, like I said, it's just, if it gets a laugh, it stays in. If it doesn't, it stays a scrap of paper on my desk.
You performed at comedy clubs and music festivals all over the place. Which one do you prefer, or does it even matter at this point to you?
Yeah, it's when I open up for bands, I love that intensity. I love the brotherhood of being on a bus with a band, going town to town. We're in Denver tonight, and then tomorrow we're in Phoenix, and, like that whole kind of, we're touring the country and all that, and that's a lot of fun. But, obviously my roots are in the comedy clubs. Sometimes I got to check myself after I've been on tour with a band. I'm so used to coming out, and, you're much more aggressive with a rock crowd. And then when I get in front of a regular comedy club crowd, I got to kind of remind myself, Don, take it down a notch, breathe. These people are seated. They're, had a reasonable amount of drinks. They're here for a comedy show. So I just got to make sure I make that adjustment and downshift a couple of gears.
What band have you actually, I would say, opened for that kind of put you on edge, man? It kind of like pushed you to your point of, I don't know if I could do this. Maybe kind of kicked your ass kind of in a way.
Well, no, I'm always the one opening, so that's a good thing. So my job is just to get out there, get people looking at the stage, get people smiling and happy and ready for the headliner. But, I toured with Pop Evil at the beginning of last year, and those guys, they have a much younger audience than I do. So that was a real fun challenge to get in front of some new people. Like, when a band, an older band takes a younger band on the road,
sure,
that same situation where you're trying to gather new fans, right? And so that was the challenge on that tour. It's like some of these people were 11 when I did that metal show, now they're 21, 22. So, obviously I want to make new fans when I go out with bands. And they were definitely, those crowds were definitely the most challenging ones.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of your comedy stand-up, man?
Oh, yeah, thanks, man. Mine and anybody else's. Just laugh and enjoy it, and don't be so uptight and all this false outrage and everybody's triggered by everything. And it's like, hey, we're grown adults. If something's funny and you laugh at it, it's funny. There's so much tension out there in the world now. Let's just have a good time and have a laugh. Like I said, we're all adults. We can handle this. And you know what? If something's not your taste, that's fine. Just move. You don't have to post something nasty on Facebook about it.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, yeah, exactly, dude. If you don't like, it's like if you scroll on Facebook, people don't like a lot of political things. Well, then just scroll on. Go.
Right. Exactly. Just move on to the next post or whatever. So, yeah, and if people listen to my album and they don't like it, definitely don't post anything online because trying to sell some records.
How does Don Jamieson handle a heckler in a crowd?
Oh, but you know what, man? That's a whole other podcast, my friend. That's every night is a little different. Every heckler is a little different. It's an occupational hazard. It's just like this is like working in an office and having a boss who rides your ass a little too hard sometimes. It's like, the job's great, except my boss is kind of a dick sometimes. But you just deal with it.
What made you want to become a comedian, Don? What was it about it that said I want to do stand up?
I just think, when I was younger, between, listening to Kiss Destroyer and George Carlin Occupation Fool were my first two albums ever. I just was always sort of brought into those worlds because I think there's a lot of similarities. There's something, dangerous and subversive about rock music. And I also like that in comedy as well. Carlin's so cutting edge. Cheech and Chong I used to listen to, and I didn't really understand the drug references, but I knew I shouldn't be listening to it, and that's what made it fun. So I always loved, walking that tightrope of like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of on the edge. So both of those art forms always appealed to me.
Have you seen where Chong wants to make a Cheech and Chong horror movie now?
Anything they do, I'll go see. I mean, I don't care if they're in the 70s or 80s. Those guys, legendary. I mean, I still listen. I still have their records on vinyl, and I listen at home, and the stuff's amazing. And I get the drug references now, so it's even much funnier than it used to be.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that you get support from? You see a lot of people downloading your stuff, MP3 stuff like that. Is there any place that shocks you possibly?
The Ukraine, obviously. I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm about to go find out how the comedy's going to work on the road when I go out with Biff and see how it translates. But I've had American comic friends who have toured overseas, and they say American comedy is alive and well over in Europe and the UK. So, I'm hoping not to kill it.
We know that Ozzy's kind of on the mend right now, and I hope to God he gets 1,000 times better, and that way he can still do his touring and things like that he loves with music. But what's your thoughts on Ozzy's new album? And maybe it's his last one, possibly.
Yeah, right. I think, Madman, count me in. I will be there at the concert. If he can't, then it's time to call it a career. He had an amazing one. I love the song Under the Graveyard.
Yes.
That's all I've heard so far. I've heard a little piece of the title track with Elton John, which sounded, like a lot of the Ozzy ballads. So, we'll see how this one sounds without Zach in the band, but he has a pretty damn good band in there with Duff McKagan and Chad Smith on drums. So I expect it'll be pretty good. But as far as touring, man, if he's still the Madman, I'll be there.
And your thoughts about Motley Crue when Mick Mars was on that metal show and says, if we go touring again, I'll invite everybody for a free show. What about that now?
Well, I'm waiting for my free tickets, so I haven't gotten anything in the mail from Mick yet. But if I don't get them, I'll still get to the show. As I told him on when we interviewed him, you could say it's a farewell tour, but if it's not, I'll be there when you come back. So I will be.
I'd love to get him on my show. Oh my God, I'd love to get him on my show. What? Hey, I'll keep trying. Folks, you want to get out and pick up Mr. Don Jamieson's new album that's coming out February 21st, entitled Denim and Laughter. That's going
Denim and Laughter.
Denim and Laughter via Metal Blade Records. So you want to get out and pick this up. Don, how can folks stay in touch with you? Buy this new album, all this good stuff, tour dates. How can they do that, good sir?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media. I'm out there, so check me out. DonJamieson.com is the website. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Cinder, everywhere. Anywhere there's social media, you'll find me. And come out and check out the show if you can. And I hope you enjoy the album.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show, good sir?
Absolutely, man. Hey, what's up? It's rock and roll comedian Don Jamieson, and you are listening to the one and only, the BOD Father. It's the BOD Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our new podcast link and also our new YouTube link. Anything and everything we do is going on the podcast and to our YouTube page. Subscribe to these folks. I'm telling you right now, please subscribe to these. Also, get out and pick up Don Jamieson's new album, Denim Laughter, that comes out February 21st via Metal Blade Records. You will not be disappointed. And, Don, before I let you go, I just want to say thank you for letting me talk to you at Rock on the Range in 2014 because, man, even though I've seen you a lot on TV and stuff like that, you wouldn't know you was on TV, man. I mean, you were so humble and everything, and I think that sticks out the most about you. You're just a good, down-to-earth fucking person, so kudos to you, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. It's the best way to go through life, and I also, it's a two-friend, and I really mean that.
Thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. I will. I'll talk to you down the road, brother.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.